Y'all hear me talk about this so much because there's no part of your life that self-love does not affect. It affects literally every part of your life because you got to think about it. Self-love, it involves how you love yourself. It involves how you see yourself. It involves what do you think of yourself? It is all like, it's all self-perception, how you perceive yourself, how, it's your self-image, what you think you worthy of, what you think you deserving of. All of that is part of self-love. Like when I say self-love, it's so many different components that go into that. It's not about, I think sometimes people mistake self-love for self-care. Like self-care falls up under self-love, but it's so many different components that go into self-love. But it all boils down to how you see yourself. What do you believe that you're deserving of, and how you, if you value yourself. And so when you really and truly start your self-love journey for you, and you get to know yourself, because it's a journey of self-discovery, and you start to understand, you know what, I've been out here trying to people please. You will be people pleasing so much to where you won't even know who you are. You won't know who you are, because when you meet this person, it's like, okay, you trying to do what you need to do to try to please them. But then you got this person over here. They may, now you're doing something totally different to try to please them. And what you don't understand is subconsciously, when you do that, when you're people pleasing, you're subconsciously, each time you're telling yourself that you're not worthy. Each time you telling yourself that you don't matter. Each time you saying that what you feel isn't important. And we don't think about this because you may be thinking in that moment of, well, I don't want this person to be mad at me. But think about it like this. Do you want to be mad at you? Would you rather have them be mad at you or you be mad at you? Because see, you have to go home with you. Excuse me. And then you have to think too, you are seeing what you are responding to. You get what I'm saying? I always say, think about it like this. There's this adult version of us, right? But there's also that child part of us that depends on this version of us to stand up for them, to speak up when some don't feel right, to speak up when, when somebody else isn't going to speak up for us, to make those tough calls and make those tough decisions to protect us, to keep us safe. And so when you are constantly people pleasing, baby, when I tell you, you shifting and shucking and jiving and all kinds of other stuff, you basically tap dancing for somebody else. And it gets dangerous because you don't never know what that person gonna want you to do. People pleasing, it's hard. It take a whole bunch of energy. It's draining. It's matter of fact, it's degrading. Because again, you have to keep going against you keep going against yourself. I feel like this. I would rather be out of line with other people than ever out of order with myself. I'm gonna say that again because I want y'all to listen. I want you to marinate on what I just said. I'd rather be out of line with other people than to ever again be out of order with myself. You understand what I'm saying? Because see, when you out of order with yourself and because you trying to be in line with other people, that's a whole that get dangerous. Because then you don't even recognize the person that you are anymore because you've had to shape shift into what other people want you to be. You've had to shape shift so many times to where now you confused. You don't even know who you are. And now you've degraded yourself. Now you've devalued yourself because you keep telling yourself, oh, I got to be this for this person to like me. I got to be this for this person to accept me. And so people pleasing, like I said, when you stop people pleasing, you will be amazed at how much mental energy you will have because it's exhausting. It gets so tiring. And when I would hear people say, well, I'm just to keep the peace, I'm going to do this. No, but that's not keeping the peace, because if you're not at peace with yourself, you really not keeping the peace. You trying to keep the peace with that other person. And if you're trying to keep the peace with that other person, you're going against yourself. You're going against yourself. And when you're going against yourself, what are you subconsciously telling yourself? Because y'all, we got to think about that. Every day we're telling ourselves something subconsciously, whether you notice or not. And so when you're saying that you're trying to keep the peace with this other person and you keep going against yourself, You subconsciously telling yourself that you don't matter. That in order to keep the peace, you have to go against yourself. And that's never the case. And so again, if you feel like you the type of person that has been a people pleaser and you want to stop, you got to make the decision to stop. Make the decision, you know what? It's not my job to please anybody else. It's just not. I can't please everybody. You ain't Burger King where it's have it, they can have it their way. It's not, you ain't Burger King, baby. And so you have to, if you want to stop people pleasing, this is what you first got to do. Make the decision. It's not my job to please everybody, because you literally, you cannot do that. It's so many different people that think so many different ways, have so many different opinions, have had so many different life experiences that you physically, spiritually, mentally cannot people please everybody. And if you think that you can, good luck, because you fixing to run yourself crazy. And so make the decision that, okay, I'm no longer people pleasing. The person that I want to make sure is pleased is me. And it's nothing selfish about it. You might feel I'm telling you, you might feel selfish. You might feel like it's selfish, and you may feel guilty at first. That's normal. But you got to understand, you feel guilty because you haven't been used. You haven't been used to making sure that you're the one that's pleased. You just got to understand that you're going through a change now. And so when you're going through those changes, it's going to feel a little awkward because it's something new that you haven't been used to doing. And so you just got to stick with it. And sticking with it, you got to make a promise to yourself. Anytime that you're wanting to change something for you, make a promise to yourself. And so anytime that you decide that you want to go back, or anytime that you feel like, okay, well, I ain't going to speak up for myself because I want to people please this person. I want this person to like me. Anytime you feel like, though, you kind of creeping back to that old way of thinking, you got to think about that promise that you made to yourself. That you are the person that you're worried about pleasing now. Because you deserve that. And again, it goes back to self-love. What you think your worth is. What you think you deserve. And then too, also, if you are a people pleaser, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, it's more than likely, baby, you got some healing to do. I'm telling you what I know. Because when you are trying to please other people, you seeking something outside of yourself. You seeking validation. You're seeking their love. You're seeking their approval. And that's coming from somewhere. That's coming from some kind of trauma. It's coming from some kind of pain. And so I encourage you, if you have been a people pleaser, then start to look over your life and see where did this come from? Why did I want to start people pleasing? Was that a way that I felt like I could get love from people? Was that a way that I felt like, I could get people's approval? And why did you feel like you need it? Because a lot of times when you're seeking validation and approval of others, it's because you didn't get something that you needed as a child. A lot of traumas and pains, y'all, we don't realize it, but it comes from childhood. It comes from childhood. And this is what I've learned. Some women don't even realize that they've gone through trauma because they were told that it was not trauma, or they were told to get over it, or they were told, or maybe just nothing was said. And so now, these women are walking around as adult women with these unhealed traumas, with these unhealed hurts. And so when you do that, what happens is you take these childhood hurts, these childhood pains, these childhood traumas, and you grow into this grown woman. Now you a whole adult out here, and it's still showing up in your life some kind of way, whether it can show up in the form of people pleasing, where it can show up in the form of you not speaking up for yourself. It can show up in the form of you sabotaging a good relationship because deep down you may not feel like you worthy. It may show up in the form of addictions, abuse, maybe alcohol abuse, food addictions, just a whole host of things. And so if you found yourself being a people pleaser, look over your life and see where that comes from. Because you got to understand, you don't have to go outside of yourself for anything. When you start to believe that you got to go outside of yourself for something, that's dangerous, because now you giving your power away. You're looking for something. You're saying that you don't have what you need. And so you got to go outside of yourself to look for it. You got to get it from somebody else. And I'm going to tell you now, nobody, there's nobody on this earth that can give you what you need other than you. But a lot of us didn't know that because, again, hurts, traumas, pains, and then always just looking outside of ourselves. So if you're a people pleaser, make the decision that you're not doing that anymore. The only person that you concerned with pleasing is you, because your happiness matters. You are a priority. You are important. Why should you be focused on pleasing somebody else over yourself? That's their job. Their job is to make sure they please, and your job is to make sure that you're pleased with you. Because at the end of the day, when you go home and you go to bed, you got to make sure that you're good with you. And if you good with you, that's all that matter. Like I told y'all earlier on this live, I would rather be out of line with judgmental people. I'd rather be all the way out of line with other people than to ever again be out of order with myself. Because I know that if I'm focused on pleasing me and I'm learning me and I know me, I'm good. I'm good. If y'all have any questions, just drop them in the comment section. I'm just scrolling through now just to make sure just to make sure I didn't overlook anybody's comments. So, do I got any people pleasers on here tonight? Honey, because listen, we can go ahead and clear this right on up, so that way you ain't out here people pleasing anymore. Go ahead and decide tonight. I am done people pleasing. Go ahead and decide you done people pleasing. I know it sounds selfish when we would hear people say, every man for themselves. That's really survival 101. Hold tight. Resilience, attachment style disorder. Tika the Talker, survivor of people pleasing. Listen, Tika, honey, when you give it up, when you stop that people pleasing, I'm telling you, baby, you have so much more energy, because you're not tap dancing for people anymore. You get what I'm saying? Like I've been there to where, and even now, like I still have to stay on myself to where, if somebody may want me to do something and I don't want to do it, or I feel like it's not in my best interest, it's gonna, put me in a bind. Like I've had moments to where I had to think on it, like, maybe I could try to see if I could work something out. And I had to remember that promise to myself, like, oh no, we're not doing that, sis. We're not doing that. Is this in your best interest? No, it's not. Is this going to overwhelm you? Why, yes, it is. Okay, well, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And I have to pull me, me, myself, and I have to pull myself to the side and be like, self, we ain't people pleasing no more. We done with that. Nope, we done with that. We won't do that no more. I've literally, y'all don't even want to know how many times I've had to do that. And you may have to do that. If you have been accustomed to people pleasing, you have to have them talks with yourself. You have to have them talks with yourself to keep yourself from feeling guilty too. Because I would feel guilty, like, dang, maybe I should have, maybe I should have just tried to, do this, or maybe I shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, well, no, how do I feel about it? If I'm good, I know the type of person that where I am fair and I'm reasonable. That's what I believe. That's the type of person I believe myself to be. And so if I know that about myself, that's why I tell you self-love, 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 getting to know yourself. Because as you get to know yourself, then you can start to be okay with the decisions that you make. Because now you know, okay, I'm not making these decisions from an ill place in my heart. I'm not making these decisions from a place to where I can't look at myself in the mirror. I'm making these decisions from a place of love for myself, and a place of knowing, do I have this energy, or do I have this time to extend to somebody else. I'm making it from a good place. And so that's the importance of getting to know yourself. So that way you can trust yourself as you make these decisions. You can stand by the decision that you made. Cause listen, people especially when people hadn't been used to you saying anything and they've been used to you just doing whatever they want you to do. But when you put your foot down and you learn how to set a boundary, baby, honey, sometimes you will see a whole other person. You just like, well, wait a minute, who this is? You start to see a whole different person because now they don't understand. Oh, okay, well, she's setting a boundary. What you mean you setting a boundary and you can't do this anymore? Like honey, they would get crazy with you. Some people, not all. People that respect you, it may be a little new for them, but they won't have a problem with it because they understand, okay, I gotta respect her boundary. She's setting a boundary. But people who don't want to respect your boundary and who want to sit there and drain you, baby, them gonna be the main ones that's gonna have an issue with it. Every single time, I guarantee you. And they would try to negotiate your boundary with you. Listen, I'm just sitting there like, what the math ain't math. And I'm setting this boundary. How you gonna try to get me to negotiate my boundary? And y'all have to watch out for this because, again, if you've been used to people pleasing, they will try. When you set that boundary, like you got to go in strong. When you set that boundary, baby, sometimes they will try to negotiate it with you. Well, you ain't been doing that. What you trying to do it now for? You done changed. You think you too good for that now? Well, all I needed was a little help. You get them? Like they'll try to flip it over on you, try to make you feel guilty. And if you're not careful, you'll fall for it. Then you back out here people pleasing. So that's why I say, remember the promise that you made to yourself. Get to know yourself, because as you make these decisions, you get more comfortable standing beside the decisions that you make, because you know that you made it in your best interest. And so when somebody try to start throwing them little try to lay that guilt trip on you, you just like, nah, that ain't even gonna work, because I'm good with me. I made that decision. I made that call for a reason. I made it for my best interest, and I'm okay with that. And so you won't even let that those little guilty statements that they'll try to throw at you. You won't even let it bother you. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. I'm look at these comments. Tika said the freedom, girl. Yes, the freedom from people pleasing. Cause honey, you just be over there all worn out, tired, stressed, depressed, and a whole hot ass mess. Resilience. I used to be codependent to survive my childhood, but sought healing and continue to evolve. Yes, resilience. You go ahead, girl. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then too, it was good that you became aware of that, because y'all, we can't do anything about it until we become aware of it. And that, listen, when I tell you, that's growth. Growth when you can become aware of it and then you want to do something about it. Let's see. Tika, the TikToker, said, stand on that no. Period. I did not know that no was a sentence by itself. I always thought I had to give like an explanation if I said no to somebody. Jace, baby, I might need to use that I might need to use one of those chargers, because my phone is running low on the juice. I need some of that juice. Okay? Let me get one of these, okay? Y'all, I have to come in here. I got to come in here with my 6-year-old. And I now with my kids, I told them, I was like, baby, we're not going to have no toxic relationship. We're going to have a healthy relationship. Because, honey, when it comes to these phone chargers, honey, I'm just like, I thought I was going to have to square up with them to get these phone chargers. They be holding on to them. Do you hear me? Now, I'm going to tell y'all something when I sit down real quick. Because some of y'all might didn't catch this live when I first started it. So if you see these clothes on my bed, mind your business. Pretend like you don't see them, okay? They clean. They just ain't folded. My husband knows this about me, okay? So if you see these clothes, yeah, they right there, okay? Mind your business. I'm gonna sit right here, y'all, because I gotta charge in. But if y'all see them clothes behind me, again, mind your business. They clean, but it take me about 5 to 7 business days to fold them bad boys up. Okay, just about 5 to 7, sometimes 7 to 14 business days. But anywho, that's just how we get down over here. I'm working on it. Okay. Let me see. So Resilience said, when you don't allow people to continue to use you, they get mad. Listen, that be the biggest way that that you find out that you've been being used. They'll let you know. They will let you know. And I'm just like, you how you mad at me because I'm not letting you use me anymore? Like, people would get big mad at you. And I'm just like, make it make sense. But do you won't want me using you? So, but I'm gonna tell y'all too, that's the importance of being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself and really loving yourself. Getting to know yourself. Because when you start loving yourself, you understand sometimes it's going to be some tough calls that you're going to have to make. And then you start being honest with yourself about knowing that you got some people in the world who they are unhealed. And so they will just come from a place of just taking. And they don't know when to stop. And so if you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't care enough about yourself to say, no, I got to set a boundary. This enough is enough. I got to set a boundary. If you won't speak up for yourself, honey, they're going to keep using you. They'll keep using you. And so that's why I'm always talking to my limitless queens about self-love. Self-love. And then too, I noticed another thing, like women talk about wanting their confidence back. When you start loving yourself, I'm going to tell you something. That confidence is a direct result of you loving yourself. Your confidence is going to improve. It's going to increase. Because when you start loving yourself, you start taking care of yourself. You start seeing about yourself. So your confidence is going to naturally increase anyways. And then let me tell you something else. When that confidence increase, you start living life on your own terms. And what I mean by that is my whole brand, y'all hear me say, love you and be limitless. That's my life's motto, because that's what I had to keep telling myself to get myself through, to get myself out of that dark place that I never thought I would be able to find my way out of. But when I say that, my brand, it stands to empower women, to teach women how to love yourself first, to build your confidence, and to just live as that limitless version of you. And when I say limitless version of you, that just means living how you see fit. Living the way that makes you happy. Living the way to where you call the shots. You don't have to live by anybody else's expectations, or you don't have to live by anybody else's standards. You don't have to live by your mama's standards. You don't have to live by your daddy's standards. You don't have to live by your family member standards. You can do you, and you happy. You're happy. And that's what it's about. You start to get into the things that make you happy. You start to live a life that is fulfilled. You start to live a life that means something to you. So that's what my whole brand is. So that's why I'm always talking about self-love, self-love, self-love. But when I hear women, say like, I just want to get my confidence back. Like, I feel like I done lost my confidence. And I'm like, have you been living on you though, sis? Have you been living on you? And sometimes it's not a matter of if women want to love themselves. The biggest thing that I've seen is women not knowing how. Women not knowing how to love themselves. So that's where I step in. I'm not giving you anything. I'm not saying, hey, let me give you limitless. Let me give you self-love. Let me give you confidence. It's just me teaching you the ways to start loving yourself, to start discovering that part of you that you've suppressed. To have a relationship with yourself, learning the tools. And when you do that, honey, your confidence level hold tight, y'all. Sharon, I love this. Please make more lives like these. I really will. Thank you so much, Queen. And I do go live Wednesday night. I used to do it Thursday night at 9:15 p.m. But I was like, let me try to play around with what would be the best time for me to go live. And so right now, it'll be Wednesday nights at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sharon said, it's literally so draining. It's slavery. Listen, it really is. People pleasing. But I'm going to tell you, y'all, the thing about it is I had to learn not to be hard on, I had to learn to not be hard on myself about it, because it's what we were taught. It's what we were taught. A lot of what we do it because it was what we were taught. This is what we saw. This is what we heard. So then we started to say it. Then we started to do it. We were taught. We were taught to people please. Think about it. I want you to think about it like this. We're always taught to do it. Treat others right. Be kind to others. Love others. Be nice to others. Others. It's always a focus. The focus is always put so much on others. You know why? Because there's the people that grew up teaching us, our parents, our grandparents, they taught us what they knew. So whatever they didn't know, they didn't teach it to us. Whatever they knew, they taught it to us. And so much was put on others. It really can date back to the slavery period, because they were worried about what other people thought, and it was out of survival. You know what I mean? Like if we really want to get deep down into it, we can really get deep down into it. But based off of survival, they was like, okay, well, hey, make sure that you doing this so that way you ain't making them mad. Make sure you're doing that. So you know what I'm saying? So that can go real deep. But we were taught this. We were programmed to think about others. We were programmed to worry about the opinions of others. We were programmed to get the approval of others. We were programmed this way. And so when I've had some women just like, I don't understand why I'm like this. And I'm like, sis, look back over your childhood. Look back over your childhood. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just what you learned because that's what you were taught. And then too, excuse me. And then too, just understanding, okay, I was taught that, but now when we get up in our adult age, the responsibility it becomes ours now to say, I'm done with the people pleasing. You have to get to a point to where you just like, I'm done. I done had enough. I'm done shape shifting to try to be this for everybody, to try to be this for everybody, try to be that for everybody. I'm done. Because it drains you. It drains you. It takes away, it almost, I don't want to say it takes away your identity, but in a sense, you don't really know who you are because you've had to shape shift so much to be whatever each person that you were trying to please needed you to be or wanted you to be. Or what you thought you need to be, what you thought you had to be. And it'll get you to the point of where you'll go against yourself so much to where it will get you to a point to where you can't run from it anymore. And that's where the depression comes in from. That's where the anxiety comes in from. That's where the self-hate comes in from. That's where it's hard for you to accept yourself. That's where, are you feeling lost? You feeling stuck in life? That's where that comes from. Yeah, I'm sitting here. My son was texting me, honey. He texts me about 100 videos a day. Mom, look at this. LOL. But that's where it comes from. And so when you are serious about your self-love journey, when you get to the point to where you just like, I want something different, I want something better for my life, I really want to be proud of the person that I see in the mirror. I want to love this woman that I see in the mirror. I want to be accepting of this woman that I am. When you get to that point and you make that decision, then you really start to get to know yourself. You start to get to know the things about yourself that make you happy. And that becomes more important to you now. Now you can do more of it because now you actually know what you like. You doing it because you liking it. You living your life because you're living it for you. You're not living it for anybody else. You're not living it out of fear. You're not living it for anybody else based off what you think they gonna say or what you think they want you to do. Hold on, y'all. Let's see. Sharon, I like this information very much. You are so welcome, Queen. Like in school, it's always teachers saying be kind, be respectful, and it's never them saying how. Scat 6 is so true, is what we were taught. Sharing bound. Okay, it's never them saying how important boundaries and self-worth can be. Yes. I will say this is a big thing that I've noticed in school. I'm a former high school teacher. I still go back to the high school, and I sub a few days out of the week sometimes. And I see this. I see this in school where these kids, the way they talk to each other is I mean, it's shocking. Do you hear me? It's shocking. And so a lot of them, I just, a lot of them, they do it because a lot of them are walking around with a lot of hurt, with a lot of pain, with a lot of anger, and they projecting. But I think that when we were in school, this should have been something that should have been talked about. It should have been something that should have been talked about, because a lot of us, we wanted to love ourselves, but we didn't know what that looked like, what that meant. I'm going to be 37 this month. And when I tell you, I just started learning the importance of boundaries a few years ago, and having the boldness to actually set the boundary and be okay setting it. And I'm fixing to be 37 this month. So I'm sitting here looking like this is stuff that we have to teach our kids, because this is stuff that we didn't get taught. Even I think back to my mom, like, my mom, was a great mom, is a great mom. She's still alive. So my mom was a great mom, but I had to look at, like, dang, it was some things that I didn't learn, that I didn't know to do. And I'm just now learning it in my late 30s. Well, I don't want to say late 30s. We'll say mid 30s. But I'm just now learning it. And, just with the boundary setting, with not people pleasing, with learning to value myself, learning how to accept myself, learning how to heal, learning how to give myself what I need unapologetically. Like, I'm just now learning that. I just in these last few years started learning that. Hold on, y'all. Val, I need to learn self-worth. I'm a people pleaser. Val, Queen, you on the right live. You on the right live, honey. I'm the self-love and confidence teacher. You on the right live. Resilience. We were taught to give up our needs through religion as well. Girl, I'm glad somebody said it. Okay? I promise you, I had this whole conversation last week. I mentor and I coach women. And in our sisterhood group, we were talking about this. The last 2 weeks, actually. We were covering this in our coaching sessions. And that's one of the biggest things. So when I talk about self-love, I want y'all to understand this. Because sometimes it might go over your head. So I want to make sure you understand this. When I talk about self-love, I'm talking about having a relationship with yourself. Stay with me now. I'm not talking about just having a relationship with yourself. This is a spiritual relationship. Catch what I said. Let me say that again. When I talk about self-love, I'm talking about having a relationship with yourself. And it's a spiritual relationship. I'm talking about having a relationship with that sacred part of you, with that God part of you. That's what I'm talking about. Some people don't catch that because they'll be like, well, you talking about, people shouldn't putting yourself first. You should put God first. And it's like, baby, where God at? Based off of whatever you believe, where's your higher power at? Inside of you. Your spirit is in you. God is in you. Whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe in, universe, source, God, whatever you want to call it. So that's what we got to understand. And see, when you start to understand that it's within you, you stop looking outside of you. Nobody can take your power away then, because see, now you're no longer looking outside of you, because you know it's within you. Hold on, y'all. Sharon said, for real, churches and all that can be so toxic by the controlling everything about us. And I'm gonna tell y'all now, because I grew up Southern Baptist Christian. Okay. So I would never ever, I never knock people that go to church. Because I've gone to church. And I feel like, get what you need. Whatever you feel like you need, get it. And I'm not gonna ever judge anybody for that. But I will say, I always like to challenge women to think for themselves. Like, learn to question things. If something ain't sounding right, you need to question that. If something ain't feeling right, you need to question that, because that's your spirit on the inside of you telling you, hey, you need to look into this. Hey, something about this ain't right. You get what I'm saying? But I had to step away from religion, because I felt like, I felt like in a sense it was a form of control. It was a form of control to tell me, well, you got to believe, you got to do this. If you believe this, then you got to do this. And I felt like that was taking me further away from me getting to know me. That was taking me further away from me getting to know about this power that I have on the inside. And so I just had to step back I started questioning a lot of things. I started questioning a whole bunch. And what I started focusing on is just focusing on my relationship with myself. Focusing on my relationship with that spiritual part of myself. That's what I started doing. And when I started doing that, I started to understand, okay, this is why I'm valuable. This is why I'm worthy. This is why I have to make sure I'm honoring myself. This is why I have the ability to speak up for myself. I don't have to go and people please, because I'm important enough to where I need to make sure that I'm pleased. I need to make sure that I'm out here living life happy. When I'm happy, honey, the people around me are happy. When I'm out here living a life that is fulfilling, living a life that I'm proud of, I'm subconsciously giving the women around me permission to do the same. Resilience. Unfortunately, women are taught to value themselves through their relationships, sacrificing self. Yeah. Yep. Val, me too. I was raised Jehovah's Witness. Thinking on your own is a no-no. Wow. But you know what? And that's why I said I'm thankful that I'm able to get on live, and be able to reach women all over the world, because we need to have these kind of conversations. I know for the longest, like, I was nervous about just like anything that I were to challenge regarding religion. I was nervous. I didn't want, because I was always taught that you don't question God. And it's like, but if you don't understand something, what do you do? You ask a question to get clarification. And so that never sat well with me. The type of person I am, I'm like, first of all, you telling me don't question it. Now that's really gonna make me question it. But I went through just a period. I went through a period of time where I was literally fearful. Like, well, am I gonna go to hell if I question this? Am I gonna go to, like, if I don't go to church? Like, I was literally feeling sick. If I didn't go to church on Sunday, I felt so sick. I felt like I was gonna get in trouble. Hell, I felt like I was gonna go to hell. That's what I felt like. And even when I started to look at the things that I needed, I'm like, okay, well, if my relationship, with God, if my relationship with my higher power, if that's supposed to be a personal relationship, why do I have to do what other people want me to do? My relationship ain't going to look like theirs, because my experience is different from theirs. Even regardless of what you believe in, I'm just going to say God. I say God. So, regardless of what we believe in, our concept of God is still going to always be different, because we experience life differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can all look at, like, the concept of God is, okay, good, great, but that's still going to mean something different to each one of us. And that's why it's personal. You know what I mean? And so that's why I was just like, I'm just gonna focus on getting to know myself. I'm gonna focus on loving myself. And what I had to learn, or what I came to learn, is as I'm loving myself, as I'm honoring myself, I'm honoring that God in me. I'm accepting the God in me. That's what I started to learn. And it was like, oh, now this making sense. That's why I'm not supposed to look outside of myself. Because when I'm looking outside of myself for something, I'm telling myself I'm not enough. I'm telling myself that I don't have everything that I need. So when I tell you, my whole journey, um, it was, it was like a spiritual warfare, really. Because you do feel like you're going against yourself, and it's not that you're going against yourself, it's that part of you that knows. And then it's the part of us where we were taught certain things, and so that's where that internal warfare comes from. Because now it's like, okay, but they told us this, but I feel like this though. And then the two ain't, the two did not, matching up. And it's like, wait a minute. That's what starts to cause that internal warfare. Maria, that was me. Val, me too. Wow. That Y'all see the importance of having these conversations. That's why it's imperative. It's imperative that we have these kind of conversations, and you question things that don't make sense to you. Question stuff that don't make sense to you. There's a reason. If it don't make sense to you, if it don't feel right, there's a reason for that. And then too, us educating, self-educating. People do perish for lack of knowledge. And so us learning to educate ourselves. Sharon, right now I'm going through a spiritual awakening about self-discovery, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff I didn't. Sharon, when I tell you, honey, it'll blow your mind. Literally blow your mind. I'll say that I guess you say, I don't know, I guess you say spiritual awakening. I experienced it December 2019. Thought I was about to lose my mind. Thought I was about to lose my whole mind. I promise you, I thought I was going crazy. I literally thought I was going crazy. And but I needed that, because it made me realize I could not keep living how I was living. I was so unhappy. I felt so lost. And when I say this, like, I'm saying this from a standpoint of my bills was paid, kids was healthy, my husband is doing good, I'm healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the things that, that some people worry about, all of those were good. But mentally and spiritually, I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt so stuck in my life. And that's December 2019 is when I had to literally decide. It became a life or death situation. I had to literally decide, okay, if I'm going to keep living, I got to do something different. I need something different. I don't know what to do. I just know it got to be something different. I had literally hit rock bottom. Resilience. We need to unlearn and challenge our societal conditioning and reparent and reprogram ourselves. Girl, when I say you said a mouthful, then unlearn in order to relearn. You are so right, because that's what I had to do. I had to unlearn to relearn. And that's what a lot of us are having to do. And just getting away from fear. I was scared. I was so scared because I was so indoctrinated. And I didn't even realize it. Lotus vibes, the ego was on fire. But it's funny how a lot of the women that I've talked to, a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people because I ain't talked to everybody, okay? But a lot of the women that I've talked to, a lot of women are moving away from religion. A lot. I was really shocked. I was very shocked to know this. And it's because a lot of them are starting to now question, like, this is what I was taught, but I don't, like, this never sat well with me. I just did it because I was told that this is what we had to do. Or, I believed it because that's what I was taught. That's what I was taught. So I didn't know to question it. But that's something that I've been noticing at Resilience, and break the toxic cycles that women were taught when growing up. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, it's crazy how it's crazy how powerful we are. It's so crazy how powerful we are that it was trying to be hid from us. Trying to be hid from us. And that's why I say, when you start to, that self-love, it makes you have to get to know yourself. The greatest parts of yourself, but also the parts of yourself that you got to heal. And because of that, you have some women that are willing to do the work. And then you have some women who want to do the work, but they are afraid because they know that, okay, it's some stuff that I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to question. It's going to be some stuff that I got to go back, that I got to heal from. And for some women, that scares the living daylights out of them. But when I tell you, when you start to work on you, you become the most powerful version of yourself. Life it starts to look different. It starts to feel different. It's just me speaking from my spiritual awakening in December 2019. When I tell y'all my life began to change before my eyes, I was just like, what is going on? But it was because I started working on myself. I got with a life coach. I had never heard of a life coach. I'm from a very small town in Georgia. It's called Blakely, Georgia. Literally, like, if you pass through it and blink, baby, you'll miss it. And I had been in Kansas with my husband. He's military. And so, I lived in Kansas. That was the biggest city, Wichita, Kansas. That was the biggest city I had ever lived in. And when I tell you, I just, man, I started just working on myself. I got with this life coach. She was just starting out. So she was just like, look, I'm still kind of figuring some things out. You can kind of be my guinea pig. And I'm just like, look, I'll be your guinea pig because I don't know what to do. I just know I need to change. And I started to learn about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. I started to do affirmations. I started learning about affirmations. I started questioning some things that I was taught when I was younger pertaining to religion. I started just looking at my own relationship with God. Like, how do I want that to look? What is that supposed to look like? How can that look? And so I really started focusing on my mind. I started focusing on changing my mindset. And in that moment, during that time, I didn't really realize it, but I started being mindful of what I was watching. I started being mindful of the music I was listening to. I started being mindful of the places I was going. I started being mindful of the things that I would say. I started being mindful of just even my emotions, like how I would feel when I was around certain people. I started being mindful of this stuff. And as I started being mindful of it, I was slowly changing my mindset and I didn't even know it. Because you got to understand, before you transform, or in order to get transformation, you got to renew your mind. You got to work on your mind. And so I didn't even realize it. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. But my life, ever since December 2019, when I tell y'all my life changed tremendously. I was a stay-at-home mother. Now, mind you, I had 4 whole degrees, background in teaching, but I stayed at home with our children because, again, my husband, he's active duty military, and I didn't want our kids just staying with any and everybody, and I wanted to be able to, if he got to pack up and go, I wanted to make sure that we didn't have to worry about, where our kids was going to go, if our kids was safe. And so I stayed at home with our kids. And December 2019, I wasn't happy with the state of my life. Just spiritually, I wasn't happy. Mentally, I wasn't happy. Physically, I was not happy. And like I said, I started just being mindful of everything that I was listening to, everything that I was taking in. And I got back into my music. I initially just said, I don't want nothing to do with my teaching. I'm just going to do my music. So I started doing my music. Y'all, doors started opening. I got an invitation to go sing in Brazil. It was people asked me to come and sing different places. When I tell you, I was just like, what is going on? What like my life really is changing. What's going on? And got back into doing my music, honey, wrote a book, started my podcast, messed around, got my song on the radio. Honey, been featured in about I think it's four magazine articles. And then I was just like, it's not enough for me to empower women through my music. Because, yeah, you can feel good for a few minutes listening to my songs, but then you're going to go right back to wanting to love yourself and not knowing how. You're going to go right back to wanting to be proud of the woman in the mirror, but not knowing how. And so I'm just like, well, how else can I, what else can I do? So I decided, well, I got a whole teaching background. I can teach these women I can teach them the how to. I can teach them the how to because I've had to go through it myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I know what tools work. I know, what you got to start to do to start working on that mindset, to reprogram, to recondition it. And so that's what I started doing. I started coaching, and it still allowed me a place to be able to do my music. And when I tell you, just my life, it has changed tremendously. And I never, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to think, but it just came from me working on myself, working on my mindset. Let me see. How you doing, Zena? How you doing, Queen? Lotus vibes, blessings to you all on your journey back home to your divine nature. Yes. Sharon, our bad decisions as grown-ups came from bad guidance and our past young self. For me, it did. I don't know about. Okay, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Sharon. Val, what was your first step? My first step, I got with a coach. And like I said, I had never heard of a life coach. Like, this was not a thing. We probably hear about life coaches more now, but around that time, I didn't know what a life coach was. I had never heard of a life coach in my life, ever. So I got with a life coach, and I had to I started thinking about how I wanted to live my life. I started thinking about, okay, what's the version of me that I want to be? What was, if I want to be proud of myself, if I want to be a woman that I'm proud of, what would that woman look like? Like, what would I be doing? How would she act? What would she be thinking about? What would her day look like? And so that's what I started to think about. I started to think about the life I wanted. I started to think about the things that made me happy. Like, okay, I knew doing music made me happy. And so I started incorporating my music back. Like, I started writing my songs. I went to find me a studio, went and recorded. Learn how to put it on, learn how to have them stream my music. With my book. I wrote my book because I was scared to write my first song. I didn't know if I could do it. And I ended up writing my affirmation book that's on Amazon. So I really focused on what I wanted my life to look like. Because you got to think about it. If you want your life to change, you got to know what you want it to change too. Like, you got to see it. So if you're saying, okay, well, I do want to love myself, I do want to be proud of myself. Okay, what does that look like? What does it look like for you to love yourself? What does it look like for you to be proud of yourself? Like what are you doing every day? Are you getting up? Are you speaking life into yourself? Or are you speaking, are you not saying anything? You just getting up and going throughout your day? Who are you around? Are you around people that don't want to be around you? Are you around people that appreciate you? The job that you're doing, what does it mean to you? Is it meaningful to you? Do you do things that make you happy throughout your day? When was the last time you did something to where you just lost track of time? You was having so much fun. You felt literally like a kid again. So I would say the first step is to make the decision that you want to change. Anything that you want to do, you got to first make the decision. We all have we have choices, but sometimes we forget that we have a choice. We have a choice to change. We have a choice to remain the same. We have a choice to see our power, or we have a choice to not see our power. And so I would say to think about the life that you want. Get you a piece of paper, sit down somewhere quiet, and you start to think about the life that you want, how you want to change your life. And then you start taking small steps to do that. The small steps that you start taking to do that, working on this every day. This is the a small simple thing that you can start doing in the morning. When you get up in the morning, get up about 5-10 minutes earlier. About 5 or 10 minutes earlier in the morning, before everybody else get up, and start speaking life into yourself. Asking yourself, how am I feeling? How's my spirit doing? Because in order for you to change your life, in order for you to start loving who you are, you got to get to know who you are. And how do you get to know who you are? Spending time with yourself, observing yourself. Seeing when you get up them 5-10 minutes in the morning, start speaking, taking affirmations to affirm who you are. You know what you need to hear. Start saying it. Start speaking it. Claim your day. Start finding you some inspirational quotes to speak over your day. If you want to do Bible verses, that's fine. Now, I told you I'm not religious, but baby, I won't throw out me a Bible verse or two. I take what worked for me and I leave the rest of it. Okay? What worked for me, I get it and I use it. And whatever don't, I leave it where it's at. But that's going to be the biggest thing, is starting to work on your mindset. Speaking life into yourself. Starting to be honest with yourself. Is there anything that you need to heal from? Is there any hurt that you need to heal from? If somebody hurt you, what does that healing look like for you? For some people, that might look like you getting counseling, you getting therapy. For some other people, that might look like you journaling. For some other people, it might look like you having a conversation with that person if they still alive. So and I know you probably said the first step. I done gave you. I know you probably like I probably should have got a pen in a notebook. Sharon, I legit feel like I'm fighting a demon sometimes, because tell me why when I do better for myself, I get negative thoughts about it. Sharon, because you got to think, I'm going to tell you, you got to think about it like this. You're moving from an old way of thinking into a new way of thinking. This old way of thinking, you got to think about it. You've been doing this for how many years? You were taught this for how long? And you were doing it for how long? And so it's going to take time. It's a process. You are your greatest accomplishment, but you your biggest project, because you're ever evolving. And so as you are on your self-love journey, as you working on you, it's going to be some days where you feel like you done took 5 steps forward. And then it's going to be other days where you feel like you done took 50. It's going to be some days where you feel like you got it. It's going to be some days where you feel like this ain't it right here, sis. But you got to keep at it. You got to understand, I'm important enough. I'm valuable enough for me not to give up on me. I literally made a promise to myself that I would not give up on me. Come hell or high water, if I had to cuss, scream, cry, throw some stuff, I'm like, if I got to have a moment, okay, go have your moment, sis. But we not giving up on us. That's what we not doing. And I have to understand it takes time. Like, you think about how much grace you give other people, and then multiply that by 1,000 for yourself. Because that's what you're going to need on this journey. You're going to have so much grace for yourself. You have to have patience with yourself. And so, because you got to understand, you're moving from an old way of thinking to a new way of thinking. Think about it like this. If you've ever gone to the gym and say you started working out, you haven't been working out before, and you started working out. When you go to that gym, now, let's say you've been doing some squats. Okay, y'all know we be trying to get it right, get it tight. And so you've been doing some squats. Now, by the time you done got finished with about 12, baby, them thighs is burning, them hips is burning. Okay, the glutes is burning. And you looking in the mirror like, baby, the way these things is on fire, I really should be looking like I done got a Brazilian butt lift back there, okay? And it still be looking the same, right? It still be looking the same. So you got to keep going back to that gym. You can't see any physical changes on the outside just yet. But what you got to understand is some changes going on in the inside. But you got to keep going to that gym. Because, see, you won't even never notice the changes going on the inside until you've been going for a while. And then once you've been going for a while, what happens? You start to feel stronger. Even though you may not see a big change physically on the outside, you start feeling it on the inside. You like, okay, I used to be tired about around when I get about this 15th squat. But baby, I done hit this 30th squat, baby mother. Okay. You start feeling stronger. Then after a while, what happened? You start to notice some things in the mirror. Listen, them thighs start toning up. You know, okay, wait a minute. I got a little tilt drop right now. Okay. You get what I'm saying? That's the same kind of journey. Your change is going to happen on the inside first. At first, it's gonna feel like ain't nothing happening. And this is where some people fall off, because it's like, I've been doing my affirmations. I've been getting up about 5-10 minutes earlier. I've been journaling. I've been meditating. I've been going on walks to clear my mind. I've been doing stuff that make me listen. When you start listening to yourself, you'll be like, wait a minute. I've been doing what? You already starting to make changes. But you got to stick with it before you start to see big changes. And that's what happened to some people. They don't want to stick with it. But you got to understand, you going from old way of thinking to new way of thinking. It's easy to go to the old way of thinking because you already know what that look like. You already know what that feel like. That's autopilot. But when you are changing over to a new way of thinking, that's when you got to keep putting some work into it, because it got to be repetition, 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 because that's all you did with that old way of thinking. And so the same thing, you got to do that with the new way of thinking, and you got to stay on it, because it's always easy to, when you are talking about, like, when you working on yourself and those negative thoughts come in, it's just that old way of thinking trying to creep back in, and you just have to shut that shit down. You got to shut it down and be like, nope, for whatever negative thought that's coming in, go ahead and get you a positive thought. Because if you already know it's coming, that's why I tell you, I teach you the tools. The tools that I teach you is basically knowledge. It's knowledge. So if you already know, okay, I'm doing good, but then sometimes I have like these negative thoughts that creep in. Ask yourself where it's coming from. Where is it coming from? Why am I having this thought? Who's around me when I'm thinking like this? Like when this thought come, or what's happening when I think this thought? Ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is there any truth in this thought? Because it could be coming from some kind of childhood trauma. It could be coming from things that you've suppressed. And sometimes we don't think about that. And so that's why I tell you, when you're working on you, you may have to reach out to a counselor or to a therapist. Now, I'm a self-love coach, a self-love and confidence coach. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I never go over into that line. But you may have to reach out to a counselor or a therapist. That's why I said whatever it looks like, whatever you need. Because each person they'll respond to something different. You get what I'm saying? And so those negative thoughts, you start to question, where is this coming from? This coming from somewhere. Let's see where it's coming from. Shine the light on it, because that's how you take the power away from it. Okay, you want to pop up in my mind? Okay, well, you done popped up in my mind. Where you coming from? And is there any truth to this negative thought that I'm thinking? Or was somebody trying to project on me? And then I just accepted it as my own truth. See, when you start asking questions, you start getting answers. And when you start shining the light on those negative thoughts, it takes the power away. Now it's not so scary anymore because you know this where it's coming from. So now you know what you got to work on. And then two, now you can get you a positive affirmation for that negative thought that pops in. Because you already know, okay, it's like you got to get proactive. You already know, okay, see, I'm going from this old way of thinking to this new way of thinking. I got to be proactive. So, all right, baby, for every negative thought, baby, I already know what to do. Where are you coming from? Why are you here? Is there any truth to you? Oh, this is what it's coming from. Oh, it's okay. Cool. I got a positive thought that's going to counteract that. And you have to hold on to it. That's why I like affirmations. I done had some affirmations that done had to get me over some bridges. Do you understand? I'm talking about literal physical bridges. I was driving and just out of nowhere, just was like some anxiety tried to hit me. And I'm just saying, like, I ain't never ever in my life been scared to drive over a bridge. Matter of fact, I look forward to them, will speed over them, okay? And I had to sit there and tell myself, I am safe. I am okay. I am safe. I am okay. I'm good. Like, I had to literally sit there and talk to myself. I had to talk myself down. But it'll, that may be something totally different from, I just wanted to use, I feel like that was a good example. But anywho, just making sure that when it pops up that you prepared. That you're prepared. Like, don't let it catch you off guard. You already know it's going to come. So just start asking yourself, where is it coming from? Start addressing it. Excuse me. I understand I keep doing the same thing. And you're so inspiring. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Queen. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't always this inspiring. I started learning some things. Baby, experience be your best teacher. Experience be the best teacher. Do you hear me? So that's why I'm telling you, stick with it. It's well worth it. It's always a journey. I even have my days. Like, when I get on here, I make it known, like, I'm not getting on here as the self-proclaimed self-love and confidence coach who got it all together. Every day I have to work on myself. Every day. Because I have that old way of thinking that be sitting right there too. Like, anytime you don't want to put work into you, anytime that you don't want to fight for you, baby, I'm right here. You get what I'm saying? Like, that old way of thinking be sitting up there, just sitting there waiting. Like, anytime that you don't want to be on your job of taking care of you, baby, these old thoughts is right here for you. So you got to think about it. That's what you up against. And that's why you have to work on yourself every day. Every day. And you have to give yourself a new set of grace for that day. And understand, too, that you're doing the best that you can do. That's what I had to learn. Because I used to say, well, I should have did this. I could have did this. Well, if I would have knew then what I know now. But what I had to learn was I didn't know what I know. I didn't know then what I know now because it was some things I had to go through in order to know it. And so understand that you're doing the best that you can do. You're doing the best that you can do. So give yourself grace. Now, I always say, give yourself grace. Don't bullshit yourself. But do give yourself grace. Resilience, inner critic, voices from childhood, past loves, peers, siblings, past teachers, family, and others. Girl, yes. Yes. I heard it like this. I got to get me some Kleenex. Think about it like this, where you're the house, but your parents have determined what street your house is on from the time that you were born. They were able to determine what street your house is on, right? Think about it like this: that your mind is your house, right? And so your parents going there, they decorating the house. Your teacher going there, they decorating the house. Your friend going there, they decorating the house. Some family members, they going there, they decorating the house. Maybe somebody that you like, a guy that you like, he helping decorate the house. And this house, this symbolizes your mind. And they just going in there decorating your house. And so then one day you go up in there and you looking like, I don't really, this don't really, it's a lot going on in here. There's a lot going on in here. I don't really like none of this. And then you have to, before you can get to the point of starting to take that stuff out of your house, starting to pull that stuff from your mind, you got to build up the courage to do so. You got to build up the courage to do so. Because you got to understand, everybody has had some kind of influence on you. Everybody. And it's up to you to decide, okay, but this is who I am. This might have been who they told me who I was. This might have been who they thought, who they thought I was. This might have been hold on, y'all. I hear Alexa in there talking. I was like, what's she sitting there talking about? But you're coming across all these people that have told you all of these things that you had all these different experiences with. And so as you become an adult, then now you can challenge it. You can challenge what don't sit right with you. But so sometimes the hard part is being bold enough to challenge it. Being bold enough to challenge it, because you got to understand that some people been so indoctrinated, so deeply conditioned, like that conditioning is so deep rooted that they're scared to even challenge it. And so now they just walking around miserable because they scared to challenge it. And it's like, why would you be scared to challenge what people told you about your life? Why would you be scared to challenge, what they told you, who they told you are? Let's see. I actually read Resilience. I read that in a book called, what was the name of that book? It's a pink book. It's not the title of it ain't coming to me right now, but if I think of it, I'll put it in there. But they use that analogy in that book. So I got to make sure I give credit to the person that used it, cuz when I read it, I was like, this makes so much sense. Cuz I'm a visual learner, so I was able to just kind of visualize it. Aubrey, how you doing, Queen? It's so good to see you. It's good to have you in here. Should I get myself a Pandora ring to represent self-love? Oh, I'm glad that you asked that. So I'm gonna tell y'all what I did. I went a little bit, listen, I was all in. Okay. So I'm not saying to go get a tattoo, but I did a tattoo. This right here, it says limitless. I would say, yes, definitely get something to symbolize your promise to yourself. Your promise to yourself that you won't ever give up on you. Mom, no matter, hold tight, y'all. This my son. Yes, baby.
Just delete the game I'm playing. I can't delete that, jeez.
Y'all, this real life. I'm a mom.
And he grabbed my hand.
Y'all give me a few minutes. I'm on live, okay?
Okay. Hi, guys. Girl, don't wait, girl.
Be nice to your sister.
I don't. Hi, I'm Jada J Limitless, and so today we're gonna be talking about limitless words.
Anywho, y'all, they been quiet for a minute, so I'm like, let me let them pop on real quick. But yeah, I would definitely say get you something to symbolize your promise to yourself, because it helps to bring it back to remembrance on those days where where it may be a long day, where it may be a challenging day for you. Then you look at that ring and you say, this is my promise to myself. This is my promise to myself, that I'm gonna be good to myself, that I'm gonna love myself, that I'm gonna give myself grace, that I'm gonna be kind to myself, that I'm gonna accept myself, that I'm gonna stand up for myself. So that's why I say it is good to get something that symbolizes that promise to you, something that's personal to you. So that's why for me, I got this, because it don't never come off. It don't never come off. It's a little drastic, but for me, you know, on those days, I just, you know, it's like, girl, remember who you are. You Candace J. Who? Limitless. And that brings me back to remembrance of the promise that I made to myself that I won't ever give up on me because I'm worth it. And I have to make sure I'm standing up for me because there's nobody else is gonna do it. So I have to do it for me. Thank you so much, Aubrey. Thank you so much, Queen. Yeah, my daughter, she was talking about, you are loved, you are worthy, you are limitless. And I'm trying to listen. I'm talking to y'all, but baby, I got this ear over here listening to my kids and because I hear my 6-year-old and I'm fussing. He fussing about something. Hey.
Don't delete my friends.
Come sit right here.
Please don't delete my friends.
She deleted your friends. So I said, don't delete anything else.
You know those are random people online, right? When you said he can't have random people.
No, he can't be playing with random people online. Y'all gotta get up.
See? These are random people and I'm unfriending them.
Okay. Keep it right here. I'm fixing to go and wrap up so that way I can look at what he's on.
Okay.
Y'all, I have definitely enjoyed y'all tonight. But of course, mom duty calls. So, if nobody's told you today, don't even worry about it because I got you. You are loved.
You're loved.
You are worthy.
You're worthy.
And you better know you limitless. And of course, if you enjoyed this live, be sure to hit that follow button so that way you're notified each time I go live. And I will be going live Wednesday nights at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, Wednesday nights, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to try to see how that works. Again, it's going to be trial and error. So I can see, if that's a good time. But I'll keep the times that I go live. I'll make sure to keep it in my bio. And I know a lot of you guys on the last couple of lives, I had a lot of people asking about this YouTube. Like, girl, please do a YouTube. And, yeah, it's really just been a matter of me uploading the videos. So yeah, I'm committing to uploading the video. I'm committing to it. So, you should be able to find me at Candace J Limitless on YouTube. But y'all, when I tell y'all posting be a whole job. Do you understand me? I got 3 old kids and a husband and a business. And then I still go and I sub at the high school to still keep my foot somewhat in education. So I can still get to work with my high schoolers. And then I coach. And then I also mentor young women. But I also coach. I do self-love coaching for my more seasoned women. So yeah, like, honey, posting, I enjoy posting, but it can be a job sometimes. Sometimes I'm not even going to lie about it. It can be a job, but resilience. I think I would get an infinity necklace. Oh, that sounds like it will be beautiful. Infinite love for me. That's right. Limitless love, honey. And you are so welcome. You are so welcome. But yeah, y'all definitely, I would definitely encourage you to go and get something to symbolize your promise to you. Yourself, remind you of this self-love journey that you're on. Because, honey, it's a journey. It's like once you get to the top of one mountain, baby, you find out that you at the bottom of another one. And it's like, okay, the journey continues. So, but it's always worth it. It's always worth it. So, on that note, make sure that you flood yourself with things that remind you of who you are, the limitless queen that you are. Flood yourself with things that remind you of how loved you are, how powerful you are, how worthy you are. Flood yourself with things like that. Go to places where you're celebrated. Don't go to where you just tolerate it. Go to places where you're celebrated, where people acknowledge your value, where people acknowledge your worth, you're appreciated. Go to places like that. If they not acknowledging your value, your worth, they not appreciating you, baby, you going to the wrong places. Because when you start to flood yourself with things that remind you of who you are, it keeps you in remembrance of who you are. And so you act accordingly. You start to act like that queen that you are. You start to act worthy. You start to act limitless. Because now you know who you are, but you got to keep yourself in remembrance. So that's why I tell you, make sure you flood yourself with things that remind you of all of those good things about yourself. Because we live in a world to where soon as you wake up, soon as you get on your phone, soon as you walk out your front door, if you don't keep telling yourself who you are, it's easy to go back to that old way of thinking that tells you that you nothing, that tells you you're not good enough, that tells you, you know, what somebody else said about you. You have to make sure that you keep reminding yourself to keep your mind focused. Keep your mind focused on good things. And I'm talking about things that you watching. This very live right here. I just taught you on this live. You just got encouragement. You just got inspiration from this live. I'm talking about all the way to the music that you listen to. What you listening to. What you watching. What you saying. And I'm going to tell you this too. Never joke. Put yourself down even in a jokingly way. Never put yourself down or somebody else down in a jokingly manner. I don't care if you say, well, I was just joking. Don't even joke about it. You a queen. You a limitless queen. So flood yourself with things that remind you of who you are. And understand it's a process. Sometimes we want things to change and happen overnight. That's not how it works. Things that are worth having, things that are worth keeping, it take a little work. It take a little work and it take a little time. And so you got to be patient. If you're saying that you want to change your life, you want to be proud of the woman that you are, you want to love the woman that you see, give yourself time, because you got to understand you're going from a certain way of thinking that you've held on to for a while to a new way of thinking. And it does take time. It's possible to switch it over. But you got to understand repetition. That's why they say it's the mother of skill. Because you're literally telling your mind, we're no longer thinking this way anymore. This how we thinking. And you got to think it long enough to give your mind time to catch on, to give your brain time to catch on and say, oh, okay, this is what we doing now. We running a new program. And if that program is important to you, if this new way of thinking is important to you, if loving yourself is important to you, if changing your life is important enough to you, you'll stick with it. Let's see. Kai, if you don't get up out of here, y'all, this cat trying to come in here. He know he don't supposed to be in the bedroom. Get on out of there. Uh-oh. Do you think you can make a live tomorrow again? I will do my best, Sharon. It really determines on what I have going on in my day, because the weekends, that's time, you know, my kids are out of school, my husband's off. And so we try to spend a lot of family time together and couple time. But I will do my best. I typically do go live on Sundays. It's normally when I'm out, like when I got to go to the grocery store. But I will do my best to get on live tomorrow. I'm not going to make a promise, but I will do my best to get on live. Right? Okay, I hate how it's normalized for people to say you're being sensitive. It's a joke. That's not right. Let me tell you something. However you feel is how you feel. Always understand your feelings are always valid, because that's what you feel. Now, I will say this. Just make sure that you aren't being triggered, because I've been on both sides to where I felt something and I was told I was being too sensitive, and I wasn't being too sensitive. And I had to come to learn that when I understood, I validate my feelings. Whatever I'm feeling, regardless if anybody else agree with it, it's validated because that's how I feel. But then too, I also have had to evaluate, you know, why I felt a certain kind of way when something was said. And I had to learn if it was a trigger or not. And when I learned, oh, this is a trigger, so that means it's something there. I need to see what it is, because this is triggering me. So always make sure that you know the difference. Know the difference when, you know, that's just how you felt about something. And then know the difference between, oh no, this might have triggered something in me that I'm still healing. So on that note, y'all, I have enjoyed y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I always appreciate you guys. I know it's a million other lives that y'all could have gone on, but the fact that y'all chose this one, I appreciate it, because one thing about it, honey, you can make more money but you can't make more time. So the fact that you shared some of your time with me to just get this message, I appreciate you. Honey, if you know of another queen that would benefit from this live, honey, send it to her. Tag her in. And I can't tell you how to send it to her because I'm still figuring that out myself. But you can try to tag her in it or see if you can send a replay to her. Honey, because I hadn't figured that part out how to do that, okay? But if y'all know, listen, y'all help your girl out. But I have definitely enjoyed you guys. Thank you so much. And I enjoyed being able to get my truth out there, to get this message out there, to let this be not only a teachable moment, but just a moment of encouragement and a moment of inspiration. So, because that's what it's about. It takes nothing from one candle to light the next. It takes nothing from one candle to light the next other than the fact that we all gonna shine. Because it's more than enough. It's more than enough greatness. It's more than enough for all of us. But having these conversations, when I tell you, it helps us to start having the hard conversations. It helps us to start to understand we got to self-educate. We've got to unlearn some things in order to relearn to do what's best for us and be okay with that. So on that note, I will catch y'all the next time. But remember, love you.